if I ask you what was the size of a football club 30 years ago, you would say basically it's the number of following a club had. The size of a club was decided by a number of people who went to the stadium on Saturday. What is the size of a club today? It is basically still the audience that the club makes. Manchester United has the biggest audience in England. But as well, it is the size of financial power of the owners that has changed. The TV income is shared equally in England in a very fair way. That is in fact questioned at the moment. But after that, we have added something in the last 10 years, that the ownership has moved abroad, and sometimes to billionaires, and sometimes to governments, to states. And they have a financial power, and they can decide at any moment, yes, we can buy Neymar for 300 million, because it is good for our country, because we carry the flag for the World Cup, like Qatar. And so it's very difficult to, what we were used to, I spend that, what will I get back? That doesn't exist anymore on the financial terms. It's more a question of rationality, how much will the player bring back, but as well passion, ego, what will bring it back on publicity, on promotion for the country. So it has become more irrational.
Is that healthy?
Not really, because you couldn't. The difficulty is that when you manage football players, they have played football, you say to Neymar, you make now 30 million euros per year net. That means basically 65 to 70 million gross. Then you have to say to the other players, okay, you make 5 to 10.
Sounds fair.
But they will not necessarily accept it. So you have to, maybe, I believe that the danger in that, what I love in football, it's a team sport. But all that brings in, it has become more about individuals. But modern society has created more emphasis on individual success, individual stardom, and less what makes a team a team. And the real question we can answer today, can Nottingham Forest win the European Cup today? No. Why? Because what this financial power has brought is all the best players come in a very small number of clubs. And the unpredictability of the competition has gone down. We know that only 10 clubs today can win the European Cup. Maybe not even 10, 5 to 6. Why? Because all the best players are together in the same clubs and not spread anymore. And that makes it less unpredictable. We know that Real Madrid will fight for the championship again, but they stayed as well before 30 years without winning the European Cup. Now it has changed, and all the best players are regrouped, concentrated. When you're a manager, you have to stand up. You know, you pay education of young players with points. I play a young central defender of 20 years old. I know he will cost me points in the season. And I have to stand up for that. If I play a 28-year-old centre-back, maybe less talented, it will cost me less points. But I will not give a chance to a young player. And at some stage, I must say, as a manager, sometimes you feel lonely to stand up there and say, no, I want this boy to play because he deserves it. But just to deserve it, I know as well that he will make mistakes. Because you learn your job at 23 years of age, 23, 24, you have a player. But until 23, we make up and down. There's, in a video system, there's two problems. The first is, do we keep the referee making all decisions? That means, do we put a screen on the side of the pitch, and every time that the referee wants, he goes there and watches to make his mind up? And the second, how far do we go? I personally am against the fact that the referee breaks up the game and goes to the side to make his decision. I think we need somebody upstairs who tells him what happened. And the second, how far do we go? There are some decisions that are easy because they are mathematical. For example, offside. Offside is easy to check. When you have a debate on the penalties, that is less clear, you know, because even watching it on video, we still have 5 people say it was penalty and 5 who didn't. So let's go as far as we can on the mathematical front. And let's keep that to somebody who's upstairs and tells the referee. But for example, there are some difficulties. If there's a penalty in the box, the referee doesn't see it. He doesn't stop the game. The ball is won by the opponent, goes up on the other side, they score a goal. What do we do? Just want to say how Paul spoke about is how terrible the selection is for young people. To give you a number, between 16 and 20, people are professional. 67% of them are not anymore in football at the age of 21.
Yeah, that's right.
And not even in football anymore.
At all.
At all.
They go off the rails, don't they, also, in their whole life.
And that is already the elite of the elite, the guys who are in the academies, you know, that shows you how difficult it is. And I would say as well, the other thing that we noticed by making the psychological profile of the young boys is that the stamina in the motivation is more important than the intensity of the motivation. That means those who resist to frustration, when a guy has a low rate, for example, 0 to 10, if there's a 2 or 3 in stamina of the motivation, he doesn't survive. Because you have to deal with frustration, with disappointment, with not being selected, and still keep going. And those who keep going make it. At some stage, it is a meeting of an attitude. All these guys, they have been questioned, you know, will he make it or not? And you had people who said, no, he will never make it. But they kept going, and at some stage, when you have the attitude, you meet somebody, I give you a chance. And that is always a meeting between an attitude and somebody who gives you a chance in life. That's absolutely 100% for everybody.
So you got your chance at Nancy as well, wasn't it? As a manager, they saw
Exactly.
something in